Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 768 for the 1st of April. And Russia have launched their April Fool's offensive with massive armored rush or tank rush across a few places, and it didn't end very well so far from at least the footages that came out. So we're gonna start off with the frontline changes report, and first thing first is over at Bilohorivka. So it's just some so at Bilohorivka there is this Bilohorivka, this one is in the Luhansk region in the Siversk front. For those that do not know, Severodonetsk is over here, Lysychansk, and Bilohorivka. And the Russian forces has been geolocated to storm some trenches south of the Chok quarry. So this is the Chok quarry, and they are located over here, which means that there is a front line change around this area here, with the Russian forces managed to make some incursions in the south of Bilohorivka. And the other front line change is over at Semenivka. So this is Avdiivka front. For those that are not familiar, this is Avdiivka city. And at the Semenivka region, Russian forces geolocated within Semenivka itself in the southern part of Semenivka over here, which means that the Russian forces have successfully have a foothold into Semenivka itself, and they will continue to attack northward and capture the rest of the settlement. So this is currently a rather significant change. We have been hearing a lot about the fighting at Semenivka or coming from Olivka direction. This is the first visual proof that this had actually happened. The next frontline change is just south of this location at Umansky. So this is one of the area where the Russians made the tank rush in this direction from Tonenke itself. This is Tonenke over here, and the latest geolocation shows that they are actually all reached all the way to this point, which means that the Russian forces have managed to at least have certain presence around here. I'm not going to mark this as a capture because this is a little bit too far to be seen as a possible capture. However, it is possible still that this could be a capture. I just want to wait for Ukrainian mapping to acknowledge it. Ukrainian forces are geolocated around here as they did a counter-attack with their own version of their armored rush, but they immediately run away. We have video footage of this happening, so very interesting. We will cover this more in the strategy and tactical reporting. So that's all from the Avdiivka front. Moving into the Donetsk front region at Novomihailivka region, there is geolocation of Ukrainian forces getting hit by artillery at this location, which means that the Russian forces is unlikely to be here. So there thus a correction of the front line to make sure that the Russian forces, at least the front line, is actually not so near to the city itself, confirming that the Russians are actually around here. Sorry, the Ukrainian forces are actually around. They have full control over the western part of Novomihailivka, and the Russian forces purely getting a front line around the road. So that's all from Novomihailivka. And the last front line change is over in the northwestern part of Verbove, over at the Kharkiv sector of the Zaporizhzhia front. This Kharkiv city, Verbove, is over here. There is a geolocation of battles in the northwestern part of Verbove. There is Russian forces seen geolocated here as they storm the trenches and trying to work northward from this area here, confirming Russian presence around here. This does not invalidate the Ukrainian claims of the other the tree line around here. So the front line is going to look something like this. So very weird shape, but I know. But yeah, we will follow through and see how this goes. And these are the frontline changes report. For those that just wanted the frontline changes report, this is it. And please press the like button, subscribe if you are new to this channel, and we go into the part for the real men, or the real woman, the real dudes, the giga chats. The non giga chats, you can go, it's okay. So we're going to start off with the anti-clockwise direction, in this direction, from the Kherson front, Zaporizhzhia front, Donetsk front, Avdiivka front, Bakhmut front, and so on. So over at the Kherson front, there is fighting reported at Kharkiv. According to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, they said the Russians attacked Kharkiv. So this continued to confirm the Ukrainian presence over at Kharkiv. So we will continue to monitor. Very interesting that they are still there. However, based on Russian information, Ryba, the Russian OSINT, reported that the Ukrainians were the one actually conducting a counterattack. They're trying to push out. So the Ukrainians say that the Russians are trying to push in. So they push in and out, in and out, in and out. And then resulted in a explosion at Novotyakhinka. This is actually reported by the Russian Defense Ministry, reporting some shelling over at Novotyakhinka. Let me mute WhatsApp. Okay, so that's all. There's one more. There is a geolocation of helicopter guided missile strike on Ukrainian position just near Sadove. So also on the northern bank of the Dnipro River. So that's all from the in and out front. Over at the Zaporizhzhia front, before we go into the front line, the Russian forces also, Russian Defense Ministry also reported shelling at Dobra Nadia. So Dobra Nadia is actually here, just across the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, which is over here at Nahoda. So shelling is over on that side, probably just to reduce the Ukrainian presence in this area here, just to prevent any Ukrainian attempt to cross the Dnipro River and capture the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Over at the front line itself, there is multiple reports of Russian attacks, particularly over at the northwest of Verbove, as per mentioned in the frontline changes report. There's fighting reported at Hulyapilsky as well as at Melanivka. So this one is new. The fighting at Hulyapilsky is actually something that we haven't seen before. This comes after the Russians declared capture of Milne 17th of March, which means that there's a possibility that the Russian forces, after capturing Milne, they are now pushing towards Hulyapilsky. So we will continue to monitor and see how this progress. Capturing of Hulyapilsky will be a disaster for Ukrainian forces because it will allow the Russians to cut the highway. Once the highway is cut, then logistic will have to extend further, going around instead of going through. So yeah, so this is the situation on this area here. Northwest of Verbove, Russian forces continue their slow push across all these farmlands. And so nothing particularly special, but at least we can now, with video confirmation, that the Russians are actually on the assault right now, because the front line around here has been very positional over the past month. So this is the first indication of a real attack in some time. Over at the Melanivka region, there is geolocation of guided missile attack at Melanivka. Russians are being reported to be attacking Melanivka according to the Russian Defense Ministry. So I wonder if this is actually the same thing, because it might not be a ground assault. It could actually just be a fire attack, which is what the video footage is showing. So we shall continue to monitor. And moving on to the Velika Novosilka sector of the Donetsk front. Russian forces shelled Velika Novosilka sector. Velika Novosilka itself, whereas they are also attacking Uruzhaine and Staromayorsky. Information coming from the both Ukrainian and Russian Defense Ministries. And so we move on. Let me see. Yeah. Over at the Voleda region, there is some airstrikes. Airstrike is hitting Voleda itself, as well as over at this mine, and they call it a mine north of Mikhailsky. So it's over here. This is Voleda. So just two shelling reports, two airstrikes based on geolocation. Over at the Marinka sector, Russian forces continue their attack at Georgievka. There is no attack being reported at Krasnohorivka. Fighting continues at Novomikhailivka. So most of the action is around Novomikhailivka. We zoom in a bit, we will be able to see that there is a FPV drone attack on Ukrainian position, and then we have the another shelling of Ukrainian positions within Novomikhailivka. But this also confirms that the Ukrainians have full control over on the western part of Novomikhailivka. Russian forces continue the attack. There is a geolocation of Russian armored vehicle, armored column they are doing this one of those tank rush or armored rush I've mentioned. They are not attacking the northern part against the Dacha region in the north. So if you see, this is the Dacha, the holiday chalets or holiday house north of the fishing pond. So the Russian forces want to capture this so that they can get the supplies of fish, because that would starve them, starve the Ukrainians. So that's all for the Donetsk front. At the Avdiivka front, Russian forces are now on the full initiative. There is no Ukrainian counterattack being reported. The fighting is now concentrating on multiple locations. I think I need to zoom out. At Badaichi, Semenivka, Olivka, at towards Umansky, at Tonenke, Vodian, as well as Pervomaisky. So there is no Ukrainian counteroffensive. This April Fool's offensive is no joke. It's one heavy push. And in this push, there is multiple incidents that is all captured on video. So at Netelove, there's artillery getting destroyed. A self-propelled gun of the Ukrainian armed forces was destroyed. Over at the Tonenke Umansky region, the Russian tank rush was publicized pretty widely by the Ukrainian side, because it was rather disastrous. Because whilst there is a lot of tanks and a lot of armored vehicles all moving at once, it seems that the Ukrainian side have no shortage of anti-tank guided missiles, and they managed to hit multiple of these armored vehicles. Maybe some of them are FPV drones, but it looks like the armored vehicles got disabled. The explosions are rather big, and just on this video footage alone, I think they destroyed at least 7. I think. Let me see. What's the last count? Yeah, they didn't put the number out for this one. So multiple ones. So they said 4 tanks, 2 infantry fighting vehicles. So 6. 6 was destroyed. Allegedly the one defending are the airbornes, Ukrainian airbornes. So I believe, yeah, Philly work of the paratroopers. Yeah. So anyway, there's another footage which came the Ukrainian counter attack. I think I pasted this video on the wrong side. So anyway, yeah. So this is the Ukrainians are actually counter attacking from Umansky with Bradleys. But 2 of them got destroyed. One I think by fire, another one by mine, hitting their own mine. To stave off the Russian offensive that is actually pushing from Tonenke direction itself, and but the Ukrainian forces withdrew. Without even reaching the tree line, they actually decided to withdraw, and then that caused one of the vehicle to hit the mine, and so the front line is very well actually possibly at this point at this position. I'm still pondering if, as I mentioned in the Frontline Changes report, if I should put the Russian front line all the way here. Clearly, there is not much Ukrainian forces around here. Maybe the Ukrainian forces are somewhere around this area here. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. So, or maybe around this tree line. Or maybe there is infantry here. We do not know. So I think maybe a better idea is just to keep it as a Russian presence. So only on the Russian mapping, Ukrainian mapping, we're not going to change. But an interesting situation developing around this area here we haven't seen a Russian tank rush since Avdiivka, the Battle of Avdiivka, in the early stage where the Russians are trying to capture the volcano, so the slag heap. So this is interesting, and this is not the only place. Like I mentioned, there's also other places that the Russians sent armored columns to try to attack. So we'll continue to monitor and see, because I think the Russians need to break through to a more defendable position, which I believe is going to be here. This is where the Russian front line is probably trying to get to try to push to, so that they can actually lay siege on Umansky itself, and providing more safety from Tonenke. So this is what I think is currently happening, which is why they are attempting a major rush to quickly capture the position, because if you try to retreat forward, you may not be able to reach there. So moving on further up north, this geolocation of the FPV drone strike clearly show you Russian forces has taken a foothold in the southern part of Semenivka. So this will continue. The Russians are continued. It's going to continue to push northward. This is what I think is going to happen. And there is also reports coming from Ryba saying that the Russians are hitting west of Avdiivka. So there's probably another push to secure the flanks over on the western part of Avdiivka. This is Avdiivka. So we do not know what's the situation here. We will continue to monitor. And then there is this very weird geolocation. Krymi Kapris geolocated video that was described to be Ukrainian shelling of Russian forces with multiple launch rocket system, Grad launchers. But clearly, Ukrainians have no more Grad launchers. They have run out of ammo. So the shelling here don't make sense. And which is why I put it in black. Most likely, this is actually a Russian bombardment of Ukrainian position, because there is no clear indication that the Russians have taken most of Berdyansk to allow them to actually penetrate to this point. It don't make sense. I don't think Russian forces can be here. It's not likely, because if the Russians capture Berdyansk, then we're going to see a pincer offensive on Semenivka. Ukrainian forces would have bolted out of the village. So it's not going to be this case. This is likely a Russian bombardment of Ukrainian positions with the Grad launcher. And this, I also saw Remelin, one of my secondary source, which I haven't used for a long time, because nowadays he just posts war footages. So he also mentioned that this is likely to be inaccurate. It's likely to be a Russian bombardment on Ukrainian positions, which I think it makes more sense to be Ukrainian. So this is the Ukrainian front line, and the Russians are pushing in these directions. So this is more sensible. Unlikely the Russians can be here. It's just not possible. So that's all for this area here. And further up north, there is a geolocation of a FPV drone strike hitting Abram tank just off Solovyove. So, but there is no clear indication that the tank is destroyed. It's just a drone. There is no surveillance drone capturing from a second angle. So but FPV drone strike is accurate. It hit the tank, but the tank, I believe, will survive. So that's all for the Avdiivka front. At the New York front, Ukrainian forces continue to attack in the Sumy and Pivdene region. So we will continue to monitor. No clear information about this part. And we move on to the Bakhmut front. So at the Bakhmut front, there is no fighting being reported at Avdiivka or Kudyumivka. Fighting is only reported at Klishchiivka. So Russian forces are attacking at Bodanivka towards Chasivya, at Ivanivsky as well as Klishchiivka. And there is bombardment at Konstantinivka and Novodimitrivka. So these are the current situation over at the front lines of Bakhmut. And in this area, there is also a column that tried to attack through Ivanivsky. So, like I said, this is an April's Fool offensive. The Russians are trying to, make a joke. It's not funny, but it's very funny for the Ukrainians. So, So actually, it can be funny. Funny. So anyway, that's all for the Bakhmut front. Off Bakhmut front, there was a Sukhoi 27 shot down over Raiske. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, they say the air defense shot down a Sukhoi 27. So this range, the distance is around 30 kilometers. The air defense probably sitting around 40 kilometers, 50 kilometers distance. So this Sukhoi 27 must be flying rather high for the air defense to catch it. And if I'm not wrong, Sukhoi 27 is the one that fires the Storm Shadows. So maybe because to fire the Storm Shadow, you need to be high. So probably it's trying to fire some Storm Shadow and then got shot down. Over at the Siversk front, Russian forces attack Ivano-Darivka and Sperne as well as Bilohorivka. So Bilohorivka is probably coming from the south, given the geolocation. And interesting thing is Ivano-Darivka. We haven't heard of fighting over at Ivano-Darivka since like years, 1 year plus. So the Russian forces are being reported by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry to be hitting Sperne and Ivano-Darivka, which means that the Russian forces may have some improvement of position north of Sperne and hitting towards Ivano-Darivka while the Russian forces are pushing Sperne. This is what I guess is currently happening, but we will continue to monitor and see how this develops. And that's it. Bilohorivka, of course, as I mentioned, because of the geolocation, Russian forces is pushing from the south up north towards Bilohorivka. Ukrainian position at the Chok quarry is very, very strong. So, this battle here will take forever. I don't think there will be any frontline change. Particularly, there's a very hilly region west of Bilohorivka. So, this entire area is just one hell of a difficult place to capture. Russian forces should just bypass it if they really want to capture it. And Kreminna front. At the Kreminna front, Russian forces continue their clash at Terny. This time round, we see fighting reported at Yampolivka as well. The last attack at Yampolivka was on the 26th, so it's been almost a week that the Russians have not attacked this area here. There is geolocation of a destruction of a Ukrainian infantry fighting vehicle in Zaporizhzhia. So fighting continues in this area here. That's all for this area. Moving to the Svetove front, there is just reports of reinforcement at Borova. Allegedly by Russian sources, they say that the 3rd Azov and the Kraken Special Forces is now at Borova. However, according to this Russian source, their claim is that this special force at the Azov and the Kraken is just there to prevent Ukrainian retreat. So it sounds a little bit propagandic, but no, up to you. You can decide whether it's true or not. And we move on to the Kupiansk front. At the Kupiansk front, there is no fighting. There's no fighting. Okay, so that's it for the Kupiansk front. In the border region, there is artillery shelling at Avdiivka. Over here, just off Nikotivka, where the Belgorod offensive happened. Belgorod offensive happened around this area here. So this is actually where the Ukrainian forces still have position. And then another one is over on the other side in the Grivoron region, where the Ukrainian forces did their main push in the Belgorod offensive. In the forest region, there's a Lancet hitting an infantry fighting vehicle, so just north of Luhivska. So that's all for this border region. And one more interesting news is that there is a FAB attack. There's a Russian airstrike fabbing on the northern part of Kharkiv city. So this is this is really deep in Ukrainian territory because it's in the city itself, and it just shows the lack of air defense on the Ukrainian side, that the Russians can just fab it into the northern part of Kharkiv. So yeah, that's about it. So this is the summary for the day of 768 for the 1st of April, which is the April Fool's Day yesterday. Yeah. Thank you for watching. Do press the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next update.